bigger businesses so that the informal economy can also grow. The informal economy players will also grow, and also they will benefit from their interaction with the bigger businesses. Right now there is that relationship, but sometimes it is undefined, it is not documented, and there are no contracts which the two enter into. For instance, we know there are lots of informal economy workers who do a lot of production, like the carpenters. They do a lot of very good work, and the big businesses do get goods from there, but still the informal economy producer remains where they are, which is a matter of standard growth. But when there are defined parameters to say this is how we work, maybe we come up with contracts or now we improve each other, the informal economy player will also grow.
Mm-hmm. Then there's the issue of formalization. For me, it's a big one, that one. Like you may want to explain that to us.
Yes, formalization is a very big issue because this issue also includes respect and recognition. It includes building linkages. It includes access to markets and infrastructure. It includes financial inclusion. It includes social protection, as well as ropes in devolution of power. So formalization is not a 5-minute process of just registering and agreeing to pay tax. It should be, as the ILO Recommendation 204 specifies, it's a process and a transitioning from informality to formality. It takes time because both the informal economy worker and the government, which is described as a member state by the ILO Recommendation 204, have got certain conditions that they have to meet in order for formalization to be achieved, like providing lucrative spaces of work and providing friendly spaces. Right now, when you look at our markets, even the vegetable market, people are thrust into a market that does not have water, that does not have toilets. Already that goes against the list or the basic human rights for everyone, not even talking about informal economy workers. Everybody needs clean and safe water, access to a toilet, because really you can't spend the whole day in the market which does not have toilets. And it also brings in, as formalization is broad, when we look at social protection, it brings in the issue of access to affordable and quality health care. It also brings in access to maternal health care as well as maternity benefits. For now, women working in the informal economy, although they do a national service of producing children as well, they do not have the opportunity to rest when they are pregnant or about to give birth. They have to work maybe up to the last day, and they come from work with the labor pains and going to labor. And as soon as the baby is born, like a 2-week-old, they'll take it to their place of work. So the maternity health care and benefits also ropes in quality child care. We need quality and affordable child care, both in the public and private spheres, so that the children produced do not suffer. Because a child is a child, and they are all entitled to their right to childhood, their right to play, despite the status of their parents.
Okay. You did mention something about the long-standing struggle between informal traders and our local authorities. We see that on a daily. Like, there's a constant fight. The local authorities will claim, I know we actually have designated places for informal traders, but informal traders do not prefer those places, or rather they prefer the central business district to the areas that they would have been designated to. How do you think we can strike a balance in that issue?
Firstly, munhu wese anoda mugariro wakanaka. Kana sweswe rinoda mugariro wakanaka, ndosaka muchiona masweswe achipinda mumba achitiza musango. So for local authorities to get a good response from the informal traders, they have to provide friendly workspaces. Right now, if you look at the designated places, when they say designated places, in most cases, it's a dusty place that does not have toilets, that is not really attractive. You can't put your goods there. So the first step will be to engage and consult, because informal economy workers are not objects. Poverty does not deplete one's thinking or deplete one's humanity. So there is need for consultation even before they assign, to say, let us consult. How do you see such a place? What should we do? Like, for instance, right now I can say there are so many alternatives to the approach of providing space. As I said, informal economy is not peculiar to Zimbabwe. Haizi Zimbabwe chete izere pasi rese. Chinongosiyana ndechekuti Zimbabwe inobata sei vanhu vanoshanda nemabasa emaoko nekuti dzimwe nyika dzinoita sei. Ukatarisa even kuEurope pane informal economy, but unowana zvekuti vanocreata nzira dzekushandidzana kuti ve-informal economy unongowana kuti pamwe kunonzi 2 days market space yacho inenge yakanaka yakapavhwa, mapurisa ekanzuru yavo vachimira security, kwete kudzinganidza vanhu, kwete kutora nhumbi dzavo. So already, that's why I said some of these things don't really need money, but dzinongoda kuti vanhu vagare pasi vakurukure vawirirane sekuti tiri vanhu. And at the end of the day, vanhu vanoshanda mabasa emaoko vanogona kubuda nema-solutions avanogona kupa kukanzuru kana kuti kuhurumende. So zvinotoitika ndezvekuti kana munhu aita zvaanoda asina kuvhunza, ndo paunowana resistance. Even ukatarisa the ILO recommendation inototaura kuti places have got to be conducive to work, and also there is need to incentivize, kugo encourage, kugo kurudzira kuti vanhu vaite sei vacomply. Vanhu vakange vapuhwa pokushanda kwakanaka kunoita kuti vawane mari, they will gladly pay whatever levies they have to pay. Reasonable levies. We have to underline reasonable levies. And then they will also be able to, they keep their places clean. Mm-hmm. Right now in most areas, hapana kana mabhini, saka marara oraswa sei. So this is a challenge that we have, and this is why we should keep on engaging and talking to the people in the informal economy, because formalization starts with talking to the informal economy workers themselves.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Lorraine. If you're just joining us, you are right in time for my chat with the ZCIEA National President. I do have other members of ZCIEA right here in the house as we look at ways of formalizing the informal economy of Zimbabwe. And yes, this program is proudly brought to you by the Zimbabwe Chamber of Informal Economy Associations. We are Diamond FM, always on top of the game. And then moving on, Lorraine, we have spoken about various thematic areas, and as you were speaking, I know we then touched on social protection, but maybe let's look at financial inclusion before we move on.
Right. Financial inclusion means that there is need to create, deliberately create systems, financial systems which accommodate workers in the informal economy. Like when people need to have capital, I will speak to the current situation. We all have been devastated by COVID-19. We have spent so much time without working. We have lost opportunity to work. We have lost a lot of income. And there is need for recapitalization. And when we talk recapitalization, we do not mean that we should get expensive loans, which will be a burden to pay back. And there should actually be assistance to recapitalize and assist informal economy workers to recover from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. And as these efforts are being made, that is where financial inclusion comes in. We know that banks require collateral in order to give loans to anyone. But what we would like to see is a system where there are specific packages for for informal economy workers that are friendly to them. And this can also be done through conversations and dialogue between the service providers, the financiers, the government, as well as the informal economy workers themselves. Because I think we have all seen that it is possible when government decides to issue an SI. So if only we could have an SI which speaks to the provision of the finances to the informal economy workers as the majority of workers within the country, because we are above 80% of the working population.
Mm-hmm. So yes, indeed, as a nation, nothing stops us from having a statutory instrument addressing issues affecting informal economy traders. And yes, it can be done, because as Zimbabwe, there is nothing we cannot do. And we move on with our program. Also in the house is Mr. Samuel Wadzai of VISET. It's all part of ZCIEA. So now we want to understand more about their work and maybe some of the legal instruments or pieces of legislation that are being worked on to try and, or rather in the drive towards the formalization of informal economy. Samuel, okay. How are you?
I'm fine, my sister. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Mm-hmm. Maybe you can give us more insight into what VISET does before we continue.
Okay, perfect. So VISET is a union of informal traders. Just like ZCIEA, we also champion the rights of workers in the informal economy, to assist them to, engage with solution holders on issues that are affecting them. We're a national organization in Zimbabwe. We've got structures in all the major towns and cities. That's basically what the organization is all about. And we work with all players in the informal economy, and we believe that by engaging, like what the president was talking about, by engaging, by talking, we'll be able to address some of the challenges that we are facing, and that's precisely the reason that the organization VISET was formed for.
Mm-hmm. Now let's talk about the informal economy bill. Mm-hmm. Give us more insight into that and what efforts have been made so far.
Okay, so I think we are all in agreement. I think both as players in the informal economy and the country at large, that one of the biggest challenges that we have with regards to the informal economy are the policies that are governing the operations of players in the informal economy. My policies are support growth in the informal economy. My policies that were put in place when we did not have this huge proliferation of the informal economy, so they are no longer in sync with the economic realities that we are living in. I think most of the bylaws that are being used right now, they were put, when we had less than 40% of the population being informalized. So we need new policies. So this is a bill that we are championing as a consortium of 5 organizations, including VISET, ZCIEA being the big one, and other also organizations, the Bulawayo Vendors and Traders Association, WABAZ, Women Business Alliance, and also Zimbabwe Cross-Border Traders Association. So we agreed that as players in the informal economy, we need also to be putting alternatives on the table. So together we managed to develop this alternative bill, which we are now trying to sell to some of the leadership in the country, including parliamentarians, because you know the role that they will play. We've approached quite a number of portfolio committees, key among them the portfolio committee for the Ministry of Women Affairs, Community and SMEs Development, the Ministry of Local Government, because they are directly involved in some of the work that we are doing, and also the Ministry of Public Service, Labour and Social Welfare. They are also very important to the work that we are doing. So we've approached them with this alternative bill to say, look, we need to correct, these policies, because they are infringing on the capacity of the informal economy to grow. I think the President mentioned that other countries have got very progressive policies, including acts of parliament. So this is the bill that we are presenting to them to say, let's have a look at it, let's support it, so that the operations of players in the informal economy are properly managed using that bill. So it's a bill that we are still selling, and I know 90% of the work has been done in terms of developing it, but we are still open to have feedback, to have contributions from other players, even in the informal economy itself or even outside. I think we need everyone to come and assist so that we have got a perfect a piece of legislation that will support the growth and the development of the informal economy.
Okay, as a nation, we definitely may not be where we want to be, but I want to believe we are right on track. So you did mention that you've approached various portfolio committees. What has been the reaction, or have they been forthcoming? What kind of reaction did you get from the various portfolio committees that you approached?
I think there is a general consensus that the informal economy needs to be supported. Yeah. It was not easy at the beginning. We have to accept that. I think some were not as cooperative as we would wanted them to be. But I think as we moved with the process, we started to have almost everyone, accepting that what we are pushing for is a noble cause, and indeed it will contribute to the development of our national economy. So I can safely say now we have got 100% support from the majority of some of the parliamentarians that we have engaged with. I know there is still a lot of work to be done to ensure that everyone understands where we are coming from. We need also to be scientific in terms of approaching them. We need empirical evidence of why we think that bill will change things. So that's what we are doing as a consortium, and we will continue to engage them. But I think I can safely say we are so far so good. We have not faced these serious hurdles, but again we continue to appeal to other important agencies of the government, especially local authorities, to come on board and ensure that they are part and parcel of this process, because ultimately they are the ones that are going to benefit immensely from this piece of legislation if it is to be enacted. Their local gross domestic products will grow significantly if we have an act of parliament that clearly stipulates how the informal economy should be operating.
Mm-hmm. Then looking at the realistic formalization of informal economy in Zimbabwe, well, of course, we cannot talk about it and not mention the challenges that come with it. Yeah. So far, what are some of the loopholes that you feel still need to be addressed? Yes, we've got pieces of legislation underway that we think if it's enacted, we will have some kind of progress. But what are other challenges, constant struggles that the informal economy continues to face?
Yeah, and I think the president was also mentioned some of them, the issues to do with inadequate spaces to operate from. I think that's the big one. The reason why we continue to see the running battles in our cities and towns is because local authorities have not deliberately ensured that they consult informal traders before they design spaces for them to go and operate from. And in some cases we find informal traders refusing to go and occupy the new spaces. And I think this is one of the major challenges that almost all the cities are facing, issues of infrastructure for informal traders to operate from, the issues to do with water, provision of water to those spaces, toilets and other things. It's a huge challenge, and I think this is why we are calling for the enactment of this piece of legislation, so that we will be having a law that will be compelling local authorities and in the government, to ensure that we have got all these things provided. The issue of finances, to assist the growth and the development of the informal economy economy. We still believe that the way that we are budgeting as a country, we need to improve to ensure that we put more money, in the informal economy, because the informal economy is the economy. The president mentioned that the majority of our young people are being churned out of universities and colleges and finding themselves in the informal economy. Okay. So surely as a government, as a country, we need to be deliberate in terms of how we are using our resources. Let's support the growth and development of the informal economy. Then also the issues of archaic bylaws. I think some local authorities are still using archaic bylaws, to arbitrarily confiscate goods. Goods anongotorwa. Sometimes people don't, they are not returned. Zvinazi kutaurwa pajekerere kuti kana magudzi ako akatorwa kana kuri wachikora mutemo, which we agree as a consortium that sometimes our members may engage in activities that are not okay, but I think it should be clearly spelled out kwavari kuti wachikora mutemo papi, zvinhu zvawachikora mutemo chichaitwa nemagudzi ako kana kuri kuti magudzi atorwa, because what we are against kuti magudzi ango confiscated then atizoona kuti anenge achienda say, because I know there are processes that should be followed for one to return the goods and so on and so forth. Then also the issue of capacity development. I think we need to be deliberate as a country to ensure that we develop the capacity of players in the informal economy so that they are directly contributing to the GDP. Yes, we know that some may want to rush the process of formalization, but like what the president said, it must be an inclusive process. Let's formalize from an informed point of view so that people don't feel cheated.
Okay, so Samuel, talking about the arbitrary confiscation of goods that we've seen happening, and maybe even the beating up of people that we've witnessed from time to time. Do the local authorities understand, though? Because right here, we, like with Lorraine, we did speak about those 7 thematic areas. There's the issue of respect and recognition of the informal economy. There's the issue of social protection. There's the issue of market access and infrastructure. Do they even understand? Have you made efforts, say, as ZCIEA, as VISET, as the consortium, to try and also educate the local authorities so that you guys are on the same page? Because sometimes the running battles are just so much, and you wonder, do people understand each other here? If they understand each other, why do we keep having these battles?
It's unfortunate, my sister, that tichiri kuramba tichiwana ma-problems iwayo ema-running battles, because speaking from the perspective of the 5 organizations that I've mentioned, we always try kuti titaurirane nema-local authorities edu, because nesuwo hazvitotinakidzi kuonawo ma-members edu achidzingiriwa achitorewa zvinhu, and hazvitotinakidzawo kuonawo ma-members edu achityora mitemo, in the ma-cases are very few. So tinototry kuti pese patinoita ma-platforms ekutaurirana kana ekubuilda capacity ema-members edu, tinoshedza vanhu vema-local authorities vekumakanzura kuti uyai tokupai mukana wokutsanangurirawo ma-members edu kuti zvinhu zvinofanirwa kufambiswa sei, because we believe kuti kana environment ikava conducive for us to work as informal traders, zvinobenefita not isusu chete kuti ndakwanisa kuisa food on the table or ndakwanisa kuendesa vana vangu kuchikoro, but zvinobenefita even ma-local authorities acho, kuti vawane gross domestic product yavo ikure, vawane revenue. Kana vanhu vakabvuma kubhadhara mari vachibva vachishandira kuma-spaces ari right, tese tinobenefita as a city, tese tinobenefita as a country. Saka we have been very deliberate as a consortium kuti let's engage with local authorities, but I don't know where we are missing each other. That's why I think we are now championing for this bill that I mentioned. That's why we are now moving with these 7 thematic areas that we are pursuing as a consortium. To say probably kana tikangotanga from the very minimum kuti iwaya ngatimbodila 7 is these 7 areas. Probably some of the challenges that we are facing, some of the running battles that we are seeing, anogonaita mashoma kana kutoma eradicate at the end of the day.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Samuel, for that. We are always on top of the game. Remember to like our Facebook page, Diamond FM Zim. And yes, it's just about ensuring that you and I are on the same page. And as far as the issues we're talking about are concerned, we're looking at the realistic formalization of the informal economy in Zimbabwe. And we have members of ZCIEA in the house, as well as VISET. We also have ZCIEA Mutare President Benita Goneso Maswera ere mother, how are you?
Taswera maswera sei zvenyu.
Takanangana nenyaya yedu yatiri kufamba nayo. Ndezvipi zvamunofunga kuti zvinofanirwa kuitwa kuti tifambire mberi nenyaya yekuti ma-informal traders edu anga achishandawo achifara, achiita basa rawo in peace, pasina kunyanyovhiringidzana kwakanyanya nema-local authorities edu?
Chokwadi zvandinoona ini zvakanyanya kutikoshera. 1, tikava neukama hwakanyanya kunaka nema-seat fathers edu, ma-councils edu, vanhu mamembers edu akawana pekutengesera pakanaka, panosvikwawo panosvikika, pakuti wakanga wachitengesawo panosvikawo wanotenga, kwete kuti pakanzi uri kuzondotengesera wakati kusina vanhu. Ndosaka muchizoona vanhu vachizodzoka pavanoona kuti apo panotengwa. Uyezve chimwe chandinonyanyo koshesa ndechekuti dai zvaikwanisika ma-seat fathers edu patinoenda nezvichemo zvedu zvekuti tiri kuda kuma-MOU, tikawa nema-memorandum of understanding nawo, then pavanoita ma-meetings avo iwo ti-includa tinenge tiripo nekuti tine MOU, of which patinopinda ma-meetings sevanhu vari kuinformal sector kana kuti vari kuformalize, handiti tinotori nezvakawanda zvatinozotobatsira iyo council kuti ibenefite, uye tine ma-views akatowanda ekuti tinokwanisa tiri kutaurirana tovati itai so, kanti wakakwanisa kudai. Vanhu vedu mamembers edu hatitodo kuti amire mustreet, toda kuti wakapegerwa paapegerwa ipapo opota achibhadhara pazuva chero after a week